How Big Pharma manipulates the medical industry, the hidden truth you need to know. What if I told you that the same companies creating life-saving drugs are also controlling what treatments you receive, what doctors prescribe, and even what research is funded? Big Pharma isn't just making medicine, they're making billions by pulling strings you didn't even know existed. Stay tuned as we uncover the shocking tactics used to prioritize profits over people. Hi friends, welcome to our channel, where we dig deep into the stories others are afraid to tell. If you're tired of being kept in the dark about the forces shaping your health and well-being, you've come to the right place. Hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and click the bell icon so you won't miss any of our hard-hitting investigations. Let's expose the truth behind the pharmaceutical industry. The pharmaceutical industry started with humble beginnings, small labs working tirelessly to fight disease and extend lives. But as breakthroughs turned into billion-dollar profits, a new force emerged: Big Pharma. Today, the global pharmaceutical market is valued at over $1.5 trillion. Companies like Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, and Moderna dominate the scene. But with massive power comes massive responsibility, or in this case, massive manipulation. Where does this manipulation begin? It starts with research. Did you know that 75% of clinical trials in the US are funded by pharmaceutical companies? That means Big Pharma decides what diseases get studied, what drugs are developed, and even which trial results see the light of day. If a drug shows promise but isn't profitable, it's shelved. Meanwhile, blockbuster drugs, like opioids, are pushed aggressively despite the risks. But it doesn't stop there. Part 1. Controlling regulations and policy. Big Pharma's influence over regulatory bodies like the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, is both profound and deeply troubling. The pharmaceutical industry spends billions of dollars lobbying lawmakers and regulators, shaping the very rules meant to oversee their practices. This influence often results in policies and decisions that favor corporate interests over public safety. One of the most glaring examples is the revolving door phenomenon. High-ranking FDA officials often leave their positions to take lucrative jobs within the pharmaceutical companies they once regulated. Similarly, former pharmaceutical executives frequently occupy key roles in the FDA and other regulatory agencies. This creates a dangerous overlap of interests, where regulators may feel pressured to prioritize industry profits over public health. Take, for example, the fast-tracking of drug approvals. In recent years, the FDA has expedited approvals for new medications through programs like the Accelerated Approval Pathway and Breakthrough Therapy Designation. While these initiatives are intended to bring innovative treatments to market faster, they also come with risks. Drugs with limited long-term safety data can hit the shelves, only to be recalled later due to unforeseen side effects or complications. The opioid epidemic is a tragic case study. Several painkillers were approved despite concerns about their addictive potential, leading to a public health crisis that continues to devastate millions of lives. Big Pharma's lobbying machine is another key factor in their regulatory dominance. In 2022, pharmaceutical companies spent an astounding $375 million lobbying Congress, making them one of the largest lobbying groups in the US. They target lawmakers with political donations, lavish events, and carefully crafted messaging to ensure favorable legislation. This includes extending drug patents, which keeps prices high by preventing cheaper generic alternatives from entering the market. For example, the infamous patent evergreening strategy allows companies to make minor tweaks to existing drugs, such as changing the dosage or delivery method, to secure new patents and monopolize the market for decades. The consequences of this regulatory capture are far-reaching. Patients are left with fewer affordable options, taxpayers shoulder the burden of inflated healthcare costs, and dangerous drugs slip through the cracks of what should be a rigorous oversight process. Part 2. Manipulating doctors and prescriptions. The influence of Big Pharma doesn't stop at regulators. It extends into the very heart of patient care, your doctor's office. Pharmaceutical companies spend more than $20 billion annually, marketing their products to healthcare providers, and much of this budget is allocated to activities that directly impact how and what doctors prescribe. This cozy relationship between drug manufacturers and medical professionals raises serious ethical concerns. Doctors are often wooed with free perks, such as paid dinners at upscale restaurants, luxury vacations under the guise of educational conferences, and speaking fees for endorsing specific medications. While these practices are technically legal, they create a conflict of interest that can cloud a doctor's judgment. Studies have shown that even small gifts, like free samples or branded pens, can subtly influence prescribing habits, often leading to a preference for newer, more expensive drugs, even when cheaper or generic alternatives would suffice. Beyond perks, Big Pharma also exerts control through sponsored education. Many medical conferences, training programs, and continuing education courses for doctors are funded or directly organized by pharmaceutical companies. These events often present biased information that highlights the benefits of specific drugs while downplaying risks or alternative treatments. Doctors leave with the impression that these medications are the gold standard, even when independent research might suggest otherwise. The opioid crisis provides a stark example of this manipulation. In the 1990s and 2000s, companies like Purdue Pharma aggressively marketed opioids, such as OxyContin, as a safe and effective solution for chronic pain. They downplayed the risk of addiction and rewarded doctors who prescribed their products in high volumes. This strategy led to widespread overprescription, sparking an addiction epidemic that claimed hundreds of thousands of lives and cost the U.S. economy billions of dollars. The result? Patients are often prescribed medications they don't need or can't afford, while more effective or holistic treatments are ignored. It's a system where profits come before patients, and the true cost is measured in lives. Part 3. Controlling Public Perception. Big Pharma's reach doesn't end in the clinic. It extends into the public sphere, shaping how we think about health, medicine, and the drugs we take. In the U.S., pharmaceutical companies spend an eye-popping $6 billion annually on direct-to-consumer advertising, a practice banned in most other countries. These advertisements are designed to create demand for specific drugs by painting them as miracle cures, often accompanied by soothing visuals and upbeat music that gloss over the lengthy list of potential side effects. This tactic is particularly insidious because it places the power of persuasion directly in the hands of consumers. Patients, swayed by polished marketing campaigns, often pressure their doctors into prescribing specific medications, even when those drugs may not be the best option for their condition. For example, antidepressants and sleep aids are heavily advertised, despite concerns about overprescription and long-term dependency. But traditional advertising isn't the only tool Big Pharma uses to control public perception. The rise of social media marketing has opened new avenues for manipulation. Pharmaceutical companies now collaborate with influencers, bloggers, and even patient advocacy groups to promote their products subtly. These partnerships blur the lines between genuine testimonials and paid endorsements, making it difficult for consumers to discern fact from marketing spin. Even scientific publications are not immune. Many academic journals rely on advertising, revenue from pharmaceutical companies, or receive funding to publish ghost-written articles. Research studies authored by industry insiders, but presented under the names of respected academics. These articles often promote the safety and efficacy of new drugs while omitting critical data that might raise red flags. The result is a carefully crafted narrative that prioritizes profits over informed decision-making. Patients are led to believe that they need certain medications to solve their problems without fully understanding the risks or exploring alternative treatments. The hidden costs, lives, and dollars. The ultimate price of Big Pharma's manipulation is staggering, both in terms of human lives and financial impact. Americans pay the highest drug prices in the world, with some medications costing more per month than the average person's rent. For instance, insulin, a life-saving drug for millions of diabetics, has seen its price triple over the past decade, forcing many to ration their doses or skip them altogether. The financial burden extends beyond individuals. Taxpayers indirectly foot the bill through government programs like Medicare and Medicaid, which spend billions annually on overpriced medications. Meanwhile, Big Pharma enjoys record-breaking profits. In 2022, Pfizer alone generated $100 billion in revenue, much of it driven by COVID-19 vaccines and treatments. But the hidden costs aren't just financial, they're measured in lives. When drug prices soar, people are forced to make impossible choices. Do they buy their medication or pay for groceries? Do they seek treatment or risk worsening their condition because they can't afford the doctor's visit? These choices lead to preventable deaths and suffering that could be avoided in a more equitable system. Beyond affordability, the focus on profits stifles innovation. Pharmaceutical companies often prioritize the development of drugs that promise the highest returns rather than those that address the most pressing medical needs. For example, treatments for rare diseases, which affect smaller patient populations, are often neglected because they aren't as profitable as drugs for widespread conditions like high blood pressure or cholesterol. In the end, Big Pharma's pursuit of profits comes at the expense of the very people it claims to serve. It's a system that prioritizes shareholders over patients, leaving us all to bear the hidden costs. So where does this leave us? It's time to demand change. Advocate for transparency in clinical trials, push for tighter regulation of lobbying, and support reforms that make life-saving drugs affordable and accessible for all. If this video opened your eyes, share it with someone who needs to know the truth. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more investigations that shine a light on the powerful forces shaping our world. Together we can hold Big Pharma accountable. Stay informed, stay empowered, and we'll see you in the next video.